Welcome back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers. I'm your host, Donna Patrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So in this podcast, we provide you with tips, tricks, and reviews of some of the many hiking trails in the Blue Ridge area. Now, we may be unfit hikers, but we do love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. In our Season 2 opener, Donna.
Yeah.
Hard to believe it's been over a year since we started this podcast.
Only just.
Today we have a Trail Snacks episode where we discuss Oconee Loop at Oconee State Park in South Carolina. This 3+ mile trail is really good exercise, but it may not offer much else, at least in the winter. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
So here's the Oconee Loop trail by the numbers. The distance is 3.25 miles in a loop. The time it took us was 1 hour and 42 minutes, and of that, an hour and 26 minutes was actual moving time. The lowest point was 1,649 feet, and the highest point was 1,786 feet. So it's only 137 feet difference between the lowest point and the top point, but do not let that fool you.
It can fool you.
This one absolutely sounds fooling because this trail goes up and down.
And up and down. And up and down.
Yes. The friendliness of the trail, pets are allowed, but it's not terribly mobility friendly.
Yeah, it's not.
It's a mountain hike.
Did you notice if mountain bikes were allowed? I didn't notice.
Yes, there's a sign at the beginning that said, don't bike in mud.
Okay.
But you can bike in dirt. And I could see how it could be a fairly...
Like during the rainy season, it might.
Yeah, they probably don't want you hiking.
It wasn't
in mud.
muddy today.
No, it was bone dry when we went. So to get there, search for Oconee State Park Visitor Center in your map app, and that's going to be in Mountain Rest, North Carolina. Now, I will say, park does require admission or a park pass, which is what we have, and you just hang it on your windshield. But to get a park pass for the day, just go. You can pay at the gate. There's an unattended gate there that you can pay. Just drop money in an envelope and you'll get a little like a paper placard that you put on your, Or you can get it at the visitor center. Now this park is pretty big and there are several parking areas, but the one you're going to want to go to is the mini golf course right near the campground. So if you head toward the campgrounds, you're going to pass the mini golf course on your left. And the trail starts right across the street.
Did we go into, I feel like we were very close to signs that were like, only people camping should go down this road,
yes,
that road?
It's right before that.
Okay.
Yeah, right before that. Now, you can continue to go on the road if you veer to the left some, and that will take you to another trailhead that has other trails that you and I have done before, that takes you to Hidden Falls.
Yeah.
Where the waterfall just goes under the ground. It's fantastic.
Watch out for the murder bees.
Yeah, that is the one where you had the little incident with the insects. I don't know that they were murder bees since nobody got murdered and bees don't typically murder people.
They couldn't catch me. That's why.
You were moving.
I was moving. You were moving.
But not today. No bugs at all.
Right.
Of course, it is January 4th. And so there was no bugs, and it was cold. It was 32 degrees when we got there.
Yeah, happy birthday to your sister, Cindy.
Yeah, happy birthday, Cindy, if you're listening. So like I said at the top, the elevation change, while it seems mild, it is very deceiving. Very deceiving. This trail goes up and down and up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
Sometimes in pretty steep grades.
Yeah, that was pretty interesting. I got to a point, it was actually, I think I got to about halfway through before I started becoming out of breath and started trying to make a deal with the trail and said, hey, trail, I understand you're taking me down. Please promise me you're not going to have me go back up again. And the trail made no such promise.
And we went back up.
We did.
Yeah.
And then we went down and up again, maybe 2 more times. It was good exercise. That's a good way to describe it.
It's a good exercise trail. Yeah. You know, we covered one a few weeks back, Sinking Waters, that was none of that. But this one actually is pretty good exercise. And I will say this too. So we're going in winter. There were tons of rhododendron thickets and mountain laurel trees there on this trail. So we are definitely going back in the spring.
Yep.
Because I bet it's beautiful.
Yeah.
When it's bursting with flowers.
Probably, though, that's probably the time when the sign about the mud is going to come into play because I'm thinking, if we have April showers and stuff like that, that might be because there's like little creeks that
there were creeks that go alongside you. There's a couple crossings that you'll go over. There was only one creek. It's called Jerry Creek that had any water in it when we crossed today.
Yeah, it was pretty dry today.
It was very dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't want to say that this is a boring trail because I don't think it is in any way.
No.
Exercise-wise, in the winter, it was great.
The views, even in the winter, with the trees, well, I noticed, first of all, it was a blue sky day.
It was a blue sky day. It was a blue sky day.
There's a big body of water that was beautiful.
There were actually 2 lakes that you'll walk by.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so blue sky day, really pretty lake. And then there were lots of evergreens, pine trees, evergreens so you did have the green color. It wasn't just all dead trees, and not dead, but dormant trees.
Right. So that is another thing to talk about, though. Tons of down trees.
Yes.
Tons of down trees.
And again, kudos to the people that work in the parks to get the trees off the trails because we only had to climb over one tree. And it was, well, I guess maybe, was it 2 trees?
It was one tree with 2 kind of
branches that were
down.
Crossing.
And they were fairly easy to step over.
Yeah, they were
fairly easy. We went under several others that had fallen,
but those weren't a problem. But beyond
they were like chest height, so you could basically just bend over.
Yeah.
And
But beyond that, there were so many that had been cut through to make that path clear.
Yes.
So many. I lost count.
Yeah.
So
still seeing
the devastation from Helene.
Man.
Yes.
We talked about it in last week's kind of year in review episode.
Yeah.
It did a number. But yeah, again, I echo what Donna said. Kudos to the Oconee State Park staff and all the volunteers that helped. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
The fact that it's open at all,
mm-hmm.
given how many down trees there were. And so the trail is marked well in some places and not well in others. And the All Trails map is actually quite inaccurate.
Yeah.
Compared to the actual trail itself.
So I was actually really proud of my trailblazing skills, not trailblazing, trail following skills. I think it's a combination of the fact that I have been hiking for a year. I was hiking in front of you for most of this trail, so I was kind of trying to find the path. But I did find a trailblaze just at the last second when I was like second guessing or questioning myself. Was I supposed to turn here? The blaze for this trail is green. So,
which blows my mind how you're going to put a green blaze on a pine tree. Because to me, I would have missed it completely unless I was very, very hard looking for it.
There was one point when we turned a corner and we were hiking in the morning and the morning sun was shining through some green leaves that were still there, and I mistook a green leaf for a green blaze, but then my eye drifted over to the other side of the trail and I saw the green blaze on another tree. So that, but I know what you're talking about. Well, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about because you're kind of a little bit colorblind.
I am red-green colorblind technically.
Yeah.
And I can see reds and greens.
Okay.
It's when they start getting shaded that I have trouble with it.
Okay.
So, like, when it's a green paint on
it's a
healthy tree that's fading was very difficult. I had to stare at it to see it. I would have missed it if I was just glancing.
Yeah, so I was pretty proud of my ability to spot those.
You did well. And early in the trail, there are metal squares that mark Oconee Trail.
Those metal squares are white with green lettering on them. So, but it says Oconee Loop.
It said Oconee Trail. Trail. And they're pretty, those stand out to me.
Yeah.
They stand out pretty well, but they stopped doing that.
I kind of wonder.
3/4 of the way through.
So we know that these were green blazes, and I kind of wonder if on other trails, if they have like a white metal thing, would the ink be different for different blazes? Like, would it be purple for a purple lettering?
Yeah, that's typically generally how they do it though. In a lot of places is they'll just have a blue painted metal square nailed to a tree or yellow one or a red one or whatever the color is, they typically don't have the names written on it. This one did.
Yeah.
But they typically don't have the names. And there are 2 spots where this trail either merges or branches off into other trails, and they're very clearly marked with wooden signposts.
Yes.
And we have those pictures, and we'll put them on Instagram so you can see them.
The last one got me because it was just a sign that said parking this way, and it wasn't necessarily like the green blaze was way down at the end. But first of all,
I had the All Trails map.
All Trails was a winner there. They had it right. But also when I looked straight ahead at the other possible way to go, I saw a purple blaze. So then I kind of knew, okay, well, this is where the green blazes end.
Right. Yeah. And so this is important to bring up. The last 3/4 of a mile, you're walking on the road.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of
took some of it away.
It does.
Because
it does.
I mean, I was happy to not be going up and down in the woods, but also you're on a road. But it is in a state park, so it's kind of a pretty road, but still cars are going past.
Cars are good. And it wasn't busy because it's a cold Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that busy. And the road is wide enough for 2 vehicles. So there's no real danger there, but it definitely does take away from the, quote, hike feel if you're walking on a road.
For sure. So
for 3/4 of a mile, it's not even like it's a short stretch. Short. It's a lot.
You're walking down the road for quite a ways.
Yeah.
So would you, given that information, if you were to recommend this trail, would you say, oh, go so far in and then come right back out? Like instead of doing the loop, go this far in and then turn around and come out? Would you go into like, what was that creek's name?
Jerry Creek?
Yeah.
I would probably recommend going to the second wooden signpost where trails branch off of it, and then coming back. If you want a true mountain hike, that's the way to do it.
We'll have to figure out the math on that, like how
It'd
long.
be longer.
Yeah,
it'd be longer because that's only about a mile from the end.
Yeah,
because that was pretty close to where the parking area was.
Right. So if you do a there and back hike,
it's going to be 4 miles.
You can control the length of it depending on what you call the middle point and turn around and come back.
Sure, absolutely. And that's the case with any trail.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, kind of.
But overall, it's an enjoyable trail. In the spring, it's probably got to be spectacular.
Honestly, there are these magical trails that have these thickets of, that they're like, what, azaleas or
rhododendrons, azaleas,
and
mountain laurels.
Yeah. And so they're not flowering right now, but you can tell, there's just thickets of them, and you're you're walking underneath these branches that in the spring are going to have flowers all over them. And it always makes me think of some kind of like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs,
yeah, that's
kind of
nice
moment. Like,
yeah.
Just,
we have been to Oconee State Park on hikes when it was springtime, and it's simply gorgeous with the flowers blooming. It's simply beautiful. So I imagine there were stretches of a 1/4 mile to a 1/2 mile of this trail where you're in a rhododendron thicket.
Yeah.
Where it is all around you, going both sides and over you. So I can imagine this would be magical in the spring. We're definitely going to have to check it out.
Yeah. So
to make sure.
If flowers are your thing, then
this would totally be the trail for you.
Mm-hmm.
We saw mountain laurel trees. We saw azalea bushes. We saw tons and tons of rhododendrons. So I can imagine it's probably going to be a great smelling trail too.
I thought it smelled really nice today. The fresh air.
It was clean. Yeah.
Cool, clean, fresh air. Yeah. I mean, you don't realize until you're out away from the city and in nature and stuff, like
how clean the air is.
Yeah, assuming that no animals have like pooped or peed around you, but they hadn't today, I guess.
No, and that's another thing. We didn't see a single animal, though we did hear a lot of birds.
Yeah,
when we were on there.
Yeah, they were birds.
But we saw no deer, no raccoons, no squirrels. But it's winter.
Yeah,
so
they're huddled up, and we started this trail and it was like 32 degrees.
It was 32.
30, yeah. And the wind was whipping at some points, and it was pretty cold.
We both had pretty thick gear on.
Yeah, we both had our battery-powered gloves for our fingers because keep those fingers, toes, and ears warm. Yeah.
It's That's the most important thing. You and my core do not get too cold. It's the extremities that really start to feel it. So yeah, I had my heavier winter coat, my battery powered warming gloves. I had thick hiking socks on. I had thermal underwear on.
Yeah.
And of course a nice, wool lined sock cap, and I was fine for the whole time. I even took my gloves off toward the end as it started warming up.
And by warming up, we mean it got to 40, maybe?
I don't think it did get to 40. I think it was like 36 by the time we finished it.
But we were active, so when you're active...
I broke a sweat on this trail.
I did too.
I broke a sweat.
With the gear that we had on.
Yeah.
When the wind stopped blowing. It's so complicated in the winter because that's why I bring a backpack. I bring pretty much an empty backpack to put stuff in as I get warm. And sometimes you need to get that stuff back out when the wind whips up again or the sun goes behind clouds. Thankfully, there were no clouds today.
This would be a break a sweat trail any season of the year.
You think so?
Well, without question, we had to stop.
Yes, but that's because I'm 55 and I get out of breath, and I mean.
Yes, but just the fact that we had to stop would mean it's at least a break a sweat.
Okay, all right.
Right. So if you're listening to us and aren't Bruce Jenner in his prime, then
we are far from Bruce Jenner.
Probably shouldn't use Bruce Jenner. I should probably use somebody else.
The Rock?
I guess. I mean, he's in fantastic shape, but I don't know what his endurance is like.
Okay.
Maybe one of those Kenyan runners.
How about my son
forever?
Joe? If you're not, if you're not my son Joe, if
you're not Joe Captain America,
Joe Trepanier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you recommend this trail?
I would too. I would
yeah.
recommend it as a go in so far and come back out.
Yeah, that last 3/4 of a mile walking on the road did kind of take away from it a little bit. So I would agree. It'll make the trail longer by a mile.
Depending on how far you go in.
Depending on how far you go in. By a mile, if you go all the way to where it starts to turn into road.
I think if you go to that creek, the bridge crossing at that creek and kind of maybe...
And then go back? Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not going to miss much beyond that, really.
Yeah.
So, okay. I'd recommend it too. Definitely a break a sweat, maybe even a feel the bird. We'll find out tomorrow. Yeah. There was a lot of up and down on fairly steep inclines.
Well, I'm glad
and
I wasn't the only one that was feeling it because I did not know that I was definitely feeling it.
I wasn't out of breath, but my legs started burning.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so tomorrow I may wake up and go, I'm going to re-record this podcast because it's definitely a pain breaker. So, yeah, I'd recommend it too. Oconee Loop at Oconee State Park in South Carolina. It's great exercise. In the spring and summer, I imagine the fall flowers or the spring flowers are going to be absolutely spectacular. In the winter, not much to look at.
But still...
But really, you're still hiking in the mountains.
Yes, and you're going up and down and around bends and stuff. And there's stuff to look at.
Yeah. I'm not taking anything away from it. I'm just saying, if you're choosing to do this, do it in spring. That's when to do it.
He's not the boss of you.
So that's our episode this week, guys. Oconee Loop at Oconee State Park in Mountain Rest, South Carolina. It is a great workout hike that will not be too challenging, but will certainly get the heart rate up and your leg muscles working. In the springtime, we can imagine, just given the thick, dense rhododendron thickets, that it's going to be simply beautiful. We'll have to check it out and give you guys an update in the spring.
Definitely. And thank you so much for listening. Please like us and subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use, and be sure to leave us a review because that's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.com or on Instagram at Casual Climbers Podcast. If you have a question, comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com.
First episode of 2025, Donna. Season 2.
Yeah.
It's exciting, Season 2.
It is. It's exciting.
So we are going to do 10-mile hikes this year.
Holy cow.
Not all 10 miles, but
we
we
do
will
them
do
in segments? Can we do them like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10? Like?
Then that's not a 10-mile hike.
It's a 10-mile hike if we do it over 5 weeks, for sure.
That's cheating the system.
I don't think so. We can ask our listeners to sort of
They will say it's cheating the system.
Okay.
Write to us. If you think Donna's trying to cheat the system by doing a 10-mile hike in 5 different times.
segments.
Tell us. If you think that she's absolutely right, let us know that too. But I'm going to do one this year. I'm going to get at least a 10-mile hike, and if not more.
Okay. I'll try. All
right, if you don't do it with me, then I'll just
Can I roller skate or something? Can we get a sled and you can pull me?
What? I am not a pack mule. No. We need to go talk about this. We'll see you out on the trail.
See you on the trail.